Update 53 released earlier today, and in this video we're gonna go through the patch notes and take a look at everything new. We got a new Gwen skin, a new map called Party Parade, 3 new quests, one where a ZOMG spawns every round, one with support monkeys only, and one quest where all monkeys shoot where you aim, and we also got some new trophy store items. Next, we got the game changes and additions section, and the most interesting things here are the new advanced tower performance window that gives you more detailed stats for towers by clicking the info button, and powers that you own can now be used infinitely for free in Sandbox. In this section they also mentioned the changes to the Boomerang Paragon and the Druid, but we'll look at that later in the balance changes instead, where we get a more detailed description of the actual changes. Next we have the bug fixes, and here there are mostly small changes, but there is one that is pretty interesting. There's been a bug in the game for years apparently that caused tier 5 towers sacrificed to a Paragon to have their cost added to make the Paragon stronger, which isn't supposed to be the case. Only the cost of non-tier 5 towers are supposed to work that way, so now that that has been fixed, that means that getting higher degree Paragons are now a bit more expensive. There's also been a lot of other types of fixes in this update, but nothing too interesting, so I'm just quickly gonna flash these parts on screen and you can pause if you want to read any of it. Next, Ninja Kiwi said that they're going to be making some changes in terms of the marketing of the game, using more data to better advertise the game and create more new BTD6 players. We also got a ton of fixes to Legends, and the list is long and I haven't played enough of it to know if there is anything major in here or not, but there is a ton of things that has been polished. In terms of tower and hero fixes, the tier 4 Juggernaut no longer bounces off of map borders, and the tier 4 Embrittlement got 1 pixel shaved off of its left eyebrow. Huge! We've all been waiting for this. More interestingly, Churchill's Fortified bonus was apparently not working past level 17, but that's now been fixed, and Decili's Heartstopper ability, which gives purple popping power amongst other things, now also works to get purple popping power versus Blastopopulous. Now onto the balance changes. The Dart Monkey's top path tier 4 knockback has been reduced, and the Boomerang Monkey is getting some smaller changes to bring up the attack speed of the middle path, but reducing the attack speed multiplier of the ability, so that when using the ability it is roughly the same attack speed as before, but when the ability is not active it is faster than before, and the Moa Press also got a little price increase. And as you saw in my early access video, the Boomerang Paragon has gotten a new ability, and now we have the exact stats for it, so each stack decreases the attack cooldown by 10% as expected, but it also increases the damage from 20 to 25. That might sound like a pretty big 25% increase, but keep in mind that this is only for the main attack and not the rotating glaives or the Moa Press, and when playing versus bosses, most of the damage from this Paragon comes from the bonus boss damage, so most of the increase in DPS from the ability comes from the increase in attack speed and not the increase in damage. The Paragon also got a big 50% increase in price to reflect the roughly 50%, depending on the Paragon degree, that the Paragon has now gained in DPS with the ability factored in. Next we have the Bomb Shooter. The Bomb Blitz got an increase in price, and the cooldown for the passive ability has been reduced, and as for the Bomb Paragon, its regular attacks has received some big buffs to make up for its extremely slow attack speed, and these buffs comes for the main explosion as well as the first and secondary cluster explosions. For example, the main explosion didn't even have a bonus boss damage before, but now it's got 2500, and with all the rest of the increases that are also very generous, this Paragon will now do significantly more damage with the regular attacks. And as for the passive blitz ability of the Paragon, leaking bloons causes the ability cooldown to shorten, and that effect is now twice as strong. The Tack Shooter Paragon also got a buff. The meteor ability's impact damage went from 50k to 60k, and the homing fireballs that come after the impact went from 700 damage to 900. Next we got the Ice Monkey. The S-Brit got reduced shard damage but more projectile range, and the tier 5 middle path got a price increase, and both the middle path and the bottom path now reduce heat more effectively versus Blastopopulous. But most importantly, we finally got the big nerf we were expecting for the Ice Paragon. This Paragon was extremely overpowered and also had some annoying timing problems with the ability, and that has now all been addressed. First of all, the debuff attack now only happens every 5th attack instead of every 4th, and on top of that, the attack cooldown has been increased to only attack once every 4th second instead of once every 3rd second at degree 1. So previously you only needed a degree 1 for 100% uptime, but now from a bit of testing you get about 62% uptime, and for a degree 41 you get about 89, a degree 57 gets you about 94, and a degree 81 got me 100% uptime, and all of these tests were with Monkey Knowledge turned on. I didn't do enough testing to tell you the exact degree you need for 100% uptime, but given how much the first few degrees help and how little each additional degree helps at higher degrees, I think it's probably degree 80, because at degree 81 it was attacking once every 1.98 seconds, and it needs to attack once every 2 seconds or less for 100% uptime since the buff lasts for 10 seconds. Either way, now you need a really high degree Paragon for full uptime, and on top of that, the debuff itself now only adds 8 damage instead of 10, and it can no longer stack with regular ice debuffs. So instead of the previous maximum of 10 plus 4 plus 1 equals 15 from ice debuffs, the maximum is now 8, and the way the changes work in terms of ice debuff stacking is that it doesn't work at all. You can no longer even stack the tier 4 with the tier 5 debuff. The way it works is that the biggest debuff will now take priority, so whichever ice debuff is the strongest, that is the one that will be active. So this really is a massive nerf that we got here that affects more than just the Ice Paragon, but we're not quite done with the Ice Paragon yet. There is something very positive too. The ability used to be almost impossible to time when killing bosses quickly because of the way it worked, but now it has an active duration instead to make it a lot easier to time. Also, there was a bug that caused towers with shatter type damage to get the additional plus 40 damage that only ice attacks were supposed to get, and that has now been fixed, and the ice lance beam now has a pierce cap of 500. It doesn't say what it was before, but I'm pretty sure it was higher than that. So big changes to the Ice Paragon as well as the regular ice debuffs. Moving on, we got some Desperado changes that might be pretty notable to chimps, but not bossing situations. The Sniper got some price changes and more ceramic bonus damage, and the Sub got a faster attack speed for the decamo pulls, and the Plutonium Reactor got a small price change. The Boat got some changes in terms of the projectile lifespan and a price change to the Destroyer, and the Ace got a pretty funny change. The explosion of the fighter jet missile now creates an exploding pineapple on top of the Ace dropping them itself. The Tier 5 Mordor got reduced stun durations, and the Temple got another big rework. In terms of primary, the Sunbeam got increased attack speed, but nerfed damage for the Golden Blades, and Magic saw reduced damage and projectile speed for the Arcane Blast. Military got a significant nerf to the missiles, cutting the attack speed in half for the first and second tier, and for max sacrifices it went from 1 second to 3 seconds. And this is significant because since the recent reworks, the missile does a ton of damage, but on the other hand, the Golden Spectres got buffed, and the increase in damage you get to the Sunbeam from your sacrifices got a big bump. And finally, for support, the bonuses you get for some levels got swapped around. The Druid now makes cash and lives at the end of the round instead of using an ability, and the old ability was replaced with a new one called Vine Crush that grabs up to 10 bloons, and currently there is a pretty funny bug caused by selling and buying Oben that makes his buff stack so that Druids can make so much money at the end of the round that it can go into the negative. The Mermonkey got a bunch of changes too, most notably to the top path, which got reduced pierce for tier 4 and tier 5, and the tier 5 also got increased range, and if this affects the area that the ink puddle encompasses, that could be pretty useful. The tier 5 Carpet of Spikes got reduced attack speed, and the Permaspike got no changes at all as per usual, and the Energy Paragon's Overclock got its cooldown reduced from 90 seconds down to 60 seconds, but the duration multiplier for Paragons went from 0.25 to 0.15, so instead of the ability lasting for 15 seconds, it now only lasts for 9 seconds on Paragons, and doing the calculations, it seems that the overall uptime percentage went down slightly. And remember that this ability used to have a cooldown of only 45 seconds and an uptime of 30 seconds when used on Paragons just a few updates ago, so this ability has really been nerfed to the ground, and in this update we also saw the area of effect duration cut in half. The Beast Handler tier 5 Dino got increased stun duration from the ability, and damage can now carry through Moab layers, but the pierce got reduced, and the hero Silas can now ricochet attacks more easily, and the level 13 discount for the tier 5 Ice Monkeys has been reduced. And that's it for the towers, but we also got some other interesting balance changes. Blast the Populace now creates rocks around it in a larger radius to reduce the odds of the rocks hitting your towers that you place close to the track. The income you make in free play has been changed so that you will get more money on tier 5 in bosses. Now, from what I've understood from Discord conversations, Ninja Kiwi worded this very badly, so it's easy to misunderstand, so I'm just gonna show you an image of the new income multipliers instead. By the way, this is not just useful in bossing, but can make a big difference in Chimp's free play as well. Pretty interesting. Frontier got some changes to the dynamite stick as well as the zigzag pistol, and finally let's look at the looking forward statement. The mod system is getting close to finished and is planned for release in update 55, and the Druid Paragon is coming in update 54 and will have active ability management to switch between elemental and wrathful states. Very exciting. And that's it for update 53. Let me know what you think of these changes in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one.